Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm the gnarly gnome. This is Cincy Brewcast. It's the voice of Cincy Craft, and we're back. This is the longest hiatus that I think I've ever taken from the show, which feels weird to me. We're going to talk about kind of this break that I've been on, I guess depending on when you're listening to this, on tonight's episode of the Weekly Pint. If you don't know about the Weekly Pint, it is a show that I do, and yes, it is. I've finally just accepted the fact that it is a show. It's a weekly show that I record live. I do it on YouTube and on Facebook and on Twitch, if you guys are on any one of those platforms. And then, well, we'll talk about the other part in a minute, but so every Monday night around 9, we do it live, and you can listen and you can engage with the show that way, and kind of it's a happy hour where we all sit around and just kind of drink and talk about the latest news and happenings in Cincinnati beer and just in kind of the bigger world of drinking. So there'll be national stories that kind of play in a little bit and regional stuff, but definitely local things. And you can listen live, and then you can watch the video afterwards on YouTube or Facebook. You can watch it and kind of listen if you aren't able to be there live. But starting now, starting with this kind of relaunch, and it's not going to be right away because I have to get a few episodes kind of going before you'll start to see it. It's also going to be a podcast, and that has started because of a couple different things. So YouTube has now started publishing podcasts as part of their platform in a different way. They're video podcasts because obviously it's YouTube. So there's no RSS stream that comes out of that. But since they are now calling them podcasts, and it changes kind of how they are presented on that platform, I figured since I'm going to start tagging the Weekly Pint as a podcast on there, I might as well make it an actual podcast. We'll see how that goes. I'm going to try a new experiment in putting that out there via audio. So stay tuned. I'll fill you guys in more on that. It will officially be the third podcast that I make, which, why not? So this one, as far as podcasts go, this is the priority podcast. This comes out every single week, and it is focused on Cincinnati. Every once in a while, you may hear some stuff from outside of Cincinnati on this show, but it is a very rare thing. Usually we talk about Cincinnati beer, we drink Cincinnati beer, and that's it. Now, the Weekly Pint, like I said, branches outside into some of the national news stories. The third show that I do is called Drinking with the Gnome. That is a podcast that talks about other things. So we talk about Cincinnati bars, we talk about booze, we talk about, hopefully we'll do wine at some point, cider, all of those things kind of make an appearance on Drinking with the Gnome. So those are the podcasts. But the point of all of this is that you can hear more about this kind of hiatus, this break that I took on this week's episode of the Weekly Pint, which is episode, if you're listening to this kind of after the fact, let me see if I can figure out what episode it is real fast. That would be under, I have to look at my notes. So one of the big things that you're going to see from Cincy Brewcast now is video. You guys have been seeing kind of the video clips and stuff that I'm doing. We're going to do full episodes. It kind of goes back to that. Sorry, I can't do more than one thing at one time. I'm trying to remember what I'm looking for. I think we're at 165 maybe. Going back to the Weekly Pint, episode 165, I think is this week's episode, I think. I could be wrong, but somewhere around there. Look around there, you'll see it. It'll say something about coming back or, something like that. But the... where was I going with that? I just completely lost my my track of thought. The shifting kind of model on YouTube of them accepting podcasts now and giving you a way to tag a video as a podcast has kind of got me thinking just a little differently. And if I'm already recording video of Cincy Brewcast to put up as clips, why not just go ahead and put up the full episodes too? So we'll see how that goes. If people absolutely hate it, I'm not going to do it because I still don't understand the idea of sitting and watching an hour-long video of a podcast on YouTube. That's besides the point. Where I was going with all of that is when I lose my train of thought like that, normally on these episodes where it's just me solo sitting here in the podcast studio, I would just edit that out and you guys wouldn't even know that it happened. But now that would make the video more work to do. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to leave any of those awkward pauses in there. Anyways, to get to this episode, which is going to be a short one. So behind the scenes, I'm recording this on Sunday morning because life, and that's kind of the way it works sometimes. I'm recording this early Sunday morning. It's almost 9 o'clock now, though, so we're getting there. But what that means is that I'm not drinking because it's way too early to start drinking, sort of, because it is a holiday. It's Easter. And any kind of holiday, including Easter, I do drink a little heavier than I would on just a normal normal day. So I'm going to crack something open here, but I'm going to go a little bit different because it's 9 a.m. We're going non-alcoholic. This is something that I've been really interested in, the shift to non-alcoholic beer. I still need a light over here of for beers, and I guess I need it more now that I'm doing this than before. This is Guinness, non-alcoholic, a draft. It contains less than 0.5% alcohol by volume. It is a malt beverage with natural flavors. I have had this before. I actually started a video about Guinness non-alcoholic, and I just never kind of got to it before the hiatus. So I still have a bunch of videos sitting there that one of these days maybe I'll get a chance to go through and check out. All right, we're pouring it in a glass for those of you listening. And surprise, surprise, it looks like a Guinness. My experience with a lot of non-alcoholic beer, including this one, is if, like right now, I think this is probably going to taste pretty good. Because it's the first beer. I have not been drinking today, because it's 9 a.m. So it's going to taste, to me, probably very close to what a Guinness tastes like. Now, if this was later in the day and I had already had, 3 or 4 Guinnesses, and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to switch to non-alcoholic Guinness now. Especially that first one, it's not going to taste like a Guinness to me. It's going to taste fine, but it's going to be a little sweeter and just have some other kind of that malty wort kind of flavor to me. That's been my experience with almost every non-alcoholic beer that I've had, is that if you're trying it on a fresh palate, sometimes they're okay. Sometimes they're not. Like a lot of times they're not, actually. There's a lot of very bad non-alcoholic beers. But if you are drinking it already with your palate kind of ready with the beer, you can immediately tell that there is something different about this one. It's been my experience, but I'm very interested in this world of non-alcoholic beer because I think it is kind of an untapped. Well, not that people aren't doing it, but it is still not properly represented in the world of craft beer. Anyways, Guinness is done settling. Bottoms up. Sláinte, I guess, is what you're supposed to say when you're drinking Guinness, but cheers for anybody that does not understand Gaelic. It smells fine. I stand corrected. Even though this is my first one, it's a little different than Guinness. Like it's almost. Oh, what is that? It reminds me of like a doughy kind of thing, which I guess is pretty common the more I think about it with non-alcoholic beer. When I was drinking it before, I was never the first beer of the day, so I was never on a completely fresh palate. And I don't know that I ever picked that up in the aroma as much. It's not bad. And it's not like a Play-Doh-y kind of dough. There are some beers that I get a lot of like that Play-Doh kind of smell. This is definitely more like some kind of a biscuity, bready kind of thing, which is fine. All right, let me dive in, see what this tastes like. It is fine, but it's not a Guinness. It's definitely not a Guinness. But I would be happy sitting and drinking that instead of a beer if I felt like I needed to or I wanted to, but I still wanted to sit around and kind of have that experience of drinking with people. This would kind of give you that chance to do that. So don't be afraid to pick one of these up. That being said, I think, and I haven't really focused enough attention to make this claim, but I'll go ahead and do it anyways because why not? I think that the best non-alcoholic beer that you can get out there right now is probably some of the Untitled Art stuff. I drank the Orange Wit the other day. It was at the very end of the day, and I figured I still wanted a beer, but I didn't really want to, drink more. So I cracked one of those open. And it was great. Like it was really good. I don't know that it would be better than an actual wit beer with orange, but it was good. It was good enough that I was happy drinking it. So if you ever find yourself in that situation where you're like, I don't want to stop. I want to still hang out with people, but I should probably stop drinking now. Grab a non-alcoholic beer because there are some out there that are at least enjoyable enough that they will get you through. We forgot to do see, this is what happens when I get sidetracked. We didn't do From the Beer Fridge, which is a...
From the Beer Fridge.
There we go. Very important segment on the show. That's when we drink. That was supposed to be before. Maybe I'll fix that in the actual audio show and just not in the video show. I don't actually know how any of that's going to work right now. We're going to make it up as we go along. So we need to talk about kind of the Cincy Brewcast side of where we go from here, because this is a kind of the hiatus was kind of a resetting of a lot of things and a rebuilding of a lot of things and changing how a lot of things are done. Obviously, adding video into Cincy Brewcast is going to add a little bit more back-end work. Not a ton, because I was already editing a lot of video, but a little bit more work. It doesn't mean that you guys are going to see anything different from the show on your end. Hopefully, it'll be more consistent, more content, and just better. But this season, kind of this volume 9, this is episode 1 of volume 9. It's our 9th year of doing this show, and my 9th year of doing this show, and there's a lot of things that I want to accomplish in this episode, this volume. I mean. There are a lot of places here in town that I still have not done episodes with. Actually, I listed out places that are currently open that I have not been to do a show that will happen this volume 9. Lost Bridge, they're fairly new. It's not a surprise that we haven't done that. I think they've been open probably about a year. But they have not started making beer yet, so I've kind of resisted going out there to do an episode of Cincy Brewcast. I'm hoping that comes soon. They're definitely one that is very high on the top of my list to go sit down and talk to. They will do beer, so I mean, even if they don't do their own beer right now, they do have a gin that they made, and I think a vodka, and they've made cider. So I mean, they're in the mix. Happy to out in Anderson and Mio's there. It's crazy that I have not scheduled that to happen yet because they've been open for a long time, long-ish, I guess, depending on what context you're putting it. Hofbrauhaus. Obviously, there are big reasons that we have not been out there to do something. Some of that is in process right now to make that happen. So I don't, and we'll get to this. Lebanon Brewing Company. They have. We've been in talks, and that'll happen sooner rather than later. That's coming. Mash Cult is back open after a hiatus of their own for lots of reasons that hopefully we'll be able to sit down and talk about. OTR Stillhouse, they've had some big changes kind of over the past few months, and I still have never sat down and done a show there. It is definitely past time to do something with them. Swine City has been one that I've tried to get on the show since before they opened, and just we weren't able to make it happen then, and it just hasn't happened. So I need to make that a priority this volume. Also, Northwood Cider. So this kind of fits into that in between thing, and I don't know where I'm supposed to fit it in. They are definitely part of this this craft scene that's happening here in Cincinnati, but do they fit into Cincy Brewcast, or do they fit into Drinking with the Gnome? And I don't know the answer. So Drinking with the Gnome, I'm jumping all over the place. I'm so sorry, but Drinking with the Gnome is supposed to be shorter episodes. They're supposed to be like around a half hour, maybe 40 minutes. In a very different format than Cincy Brewcast is. Cincy Brewcast is kind of a deeper dive, around an hour for most episodes. Hopefully this one won't be an hour, because I'm pretty sure my wife will start getting very angry with me, because I'm probably supposed to be upstairs helping get everything ready for us to head out of the house for Easter today. But the episode with Northwood Cider, I really probably should do a deeper dive like an episode of Cincy Brewcast. So does it go on to Cincy Brewcast, or does it just be a long episode of Drinking with the Gnome, or I don't know. So, but regardless, they're on that list because I need to sit down and I need to talk to them, because I love the fact that we finally have a dedicated cidery here in Cincinnati. I've been there a couple times and I've loved everything that I've tried there. It was absolute blast. So they're on the list. The last two here are going to be a little controversial to some people. Brewdog has a tap room in Cincinnati. It's been here for a while now, and I feel like as much as I make jokes sometimes and call them invasive species, I is still part of the craft scene that is happening in this city. Say what you will about the company itself. I know that not everybody is a fan of Brewdog as a company and how they treat their employees, but I still need to sit down and talk there, even if it's just me sitting down with somebody else, one of you, as a guest co-host, to come in and just sit and drink some beers and talk, which is probably more likely how we would do that episode. And then the last one is North High. North High has 2 current tap rooms here in the city, with plans for at least one more, possibly 2 more. We'll see. But again, they're here. They're part of this this craft scene that's happening. I didn't even put this one down because they just opened. Highwire. Highwire is another one. They've been on Drinking with the Gnome down in Nashville. We did an interview with Highwire. They're here now, and I should probably do another Highwire show this time on the Brewcast, because it's a local tap room, and it is a great tap room if you haven't been there. So that's some of the stuff that's already here that I need to do episodes around. So when we're talking 10 or 11 episodes there, just things that are already on my mind that we need to get to. And with that, there are God knows how many. I did not make a list of this, but a ton of other places that I have already done shows with. But since I've been there to do a show with them, things have changed enough or grown enough, sometimes changed very dramatically since the last time we did a show there, that we are definitely due for a new episode. So I could sit here and I could sit here and plan out the entire Volume 9 and put together, I have to look and see how many episodes in theory this volume would be. We'll say 40-ish. We could plan out every single one of those episodes ahead of time. I could. Not going to, because you have to have room for some wiggle room when some kind of news happens and you want to sit down and talk to somebody that you haven't for a while. But I am going to be a little more deliberate with planning ahead of time where this show is going. I've kind of always, with Cincy Brewcast, I try to never plan too far in advance because of some of those episodes where news happens or something pops up and you want to go sit down with that place. So instead of bumping another show, I just try not to really schedule stuff more than a few weeks out, because things do shift and change a lot. But we're going to be a little more deliberate this volume, just to kind of organize things a little bit more and make sure that we're ready to go. It's the editing process and the scheduling of posts and stuff is a little bit more chaotic now than it was a couple years ago. Just, especially the video aspect changes a lot. And ideally, how I would love this show to run is that I would be recording episodes probably 2 weeks before they actually post, so that it gives me that 2 weeks to get everything edited and scheduled and ready to go, and then just be ahead 2 weeks all the time. That just isn't it isn't as fun as a podcaster to do that. Like I enjoy this of sitting down right now and I'm talking to you, and I know that tomorrow morning, you're going to hear this. So I'm not trying to think about what could happen in 2 weeks that you guys, when you're hearing this, would be thinking of, because it's just going to be tomorrow. So I like that kind of instant gratification almost, which is why I love the Weekly Pint, because it's live, and I don't have to worry about time shifting and podcast time and that kind of stuff. So that's kind of where the Brewcast is right now, and where the Brewcast is kind of going. Hang on, I don't know if I'm still recording. This is why recording video during the show is a pain. It's one problem with, it's behind the scenes. You guys don't need to know about problems with technology. I need to figure that out. All right. Note to self: do the thing with the thing. So this, going forward with this volume, you guys, if you're regular listeners to the show, it's just me, and I sit down with guests. I am always looking for new guests, and that does not mean that you have to own, operate, work at a brewery. I'm looking for just new voices and new people who want to be on a podcast and talk about beer. So reach out to me. Reach out to podcasts at thegnarlygnome.com, and we'll try to get something set up and try to get you out somewhere. It may be with somebody else. It may be just by yourself, just hanging out somewhere, drinking with me, and who knows? But I need more voices, and I need more people to be willing to come in and sit down and talk about beer, especially if you're somebody that either has a podcast and you want to promote your podcast, or you have been thinking about starting a podcast and you don't know the first thing about it. Come out and record with me, and I'll walk you through kind of my setup and how you can kind of adapt that or come up with your own, or use the kind of the model that I do to do a weekly show. I'm more than happy to do that. So reach out to me, like I said, podcast at thegnarlygnome.com, and you can be on the show. One other thing that you guys can do, if you like this show, and I talk about this every week, if you like this show, if you like what I do, if you like the website, if you like the YouTube channel, if you like all of that or any of that, you can support. You can go to thegnarlygnome.com/support, and you can do it that way, and that helps me a ton as a creator, knowing that there are people that are out there that are engaged and actually enjoy this. There's going to be some other kind of perks with that this year. There's already some cool swag that you get, but there's going to be some other stuff that I'm working into it. I don't want to give too much of that away right now because I'm going to see kind of how it works. If you are a local brewery or you are a business and you like this show or you like the website or you like anything that I do, you can take the next step. I guess an individual could do this too, but it wouldn't make sense. You can sponsor Cincy Brewcast. I mean, you can sponsor even more than that. You could sponsor Cincy Brewcast Drinking with the Gnome and the website all at once and the YouTube channel if you wanted to. And there are lots of different ways that we can kind of structure all that. The Brewcast is easy. You can sponsor in like think of it as a month. It's actually 4 episodes. So if one month, if it's one of those weird months where I have to take a week or 2 off, it just rolls into the next couple episodes. So 4 episode blocks. You can do 4 is the minimum, or you can do up to 3 months worth, which is a block of 12. And there are lots of different ways we can work in some other stuff to that. But big thing is, if you're a business and you like craft beer and you think that your customers are the people that are currently sitting right now listening to this, reach out. You can sponsor the show. You can get right in there, and every week we can talk about who you are and why they should be going to your business. Just reach out to advertise@thegnarlygnome.com. I probably should say that slower so that you can write it down. Reach out to advertise@thegnarlygnome.com, and you can sponsor any of this and be part of this whole thing and help me, and we can help you and help customers find you, and it's a win-win. Everybody wins. So that's that. And we talked about the additions to video. So I think that's kind of that's it. That's it for this week's episode. It's just kind of, I'm back, and I want you guys to know that I'm back, and I'm excited to be back, and not that I really went anywhere. In fact, and I've talked to, I'm getting ahead because we're going to talk about this on the Weekly Pint, but it wasn't that I just went away. Like I've been working harder kind of this last month or so than I have in a very long time, trying to set all of this up to make sure that it runs a lot smoother now going forward and is a little less chaotic. Not that it's going to be not chaotic, because it wouldn't be fun otherwise, but it is just a little bit different, and that makes me excited going forward, just to watch kind of how all of this might be able to actually start growing into different things now. I don't want to be too vague, but the biggest help that any of you can do, you're already doing by just listening to this show and supporting it that way. You can, however, the next time you're out with your friends or your drinking buddies or whatever, and there's somebody that doesn't listen to the show that you know would like the show, just tell them about the show and keep helping it grow that way, because it does help a ton, whether you realize it or not. I appreciate every single one of you more than I can possibly tell you. This thing that is the Gnarly Gnome and all of the stuff that surrounds that is a big part of my life, and without you guys consuming the content and enjoying it, it wouldn't exist. I think if you all stopped listening and consuming, I think I would still keep doing it now, but without you, it wouldn't have turned into what it is. So I appreciate you, and I appreciate you guys supporting all of this. I'm sorry I was gone for so long. I missed you. We will definitely be back next week. And we are talking to Michael Iman from Adina Distributing next week. So tune in for that one. It's a fun episode, and I think you guys will like it. And there's some big news that we got to talk about with them. So just stay tuned. And like I said, support the show if you love it. Share with a friend. Just keep doing what you do, because you guys are gnarly. Cincy Brewcast. It's the voice of Cincy Craft.